From translation, Net New English Translation, this 142 day of the year today we are reading passages Ezra 4-7, Ezra chapter 4, verses 1 to 24. Now, when the enemies of Judah and Benjamin heard that the exiles were building a temple for the Lord God of Israel, they approached Zerubbabel and the heads of families and said to them, "Let us build with you. For we seek your God just as you do, and we have been sacrificing to him since the time of Esarhaddon king of Assyria, who brought us here." But Zerubbabel, Jeshua, and the rest of the heads of families in Israel said to them, "You have nothing to do with us in building a temple for our God. We will build it by ourselves for the Lord God of Israel, as King Cyrus king of Persia has commanded us." Then the people of the land tried to discourage the people of Judah, and to frighten them from building, and they hired counselors against them to frustrate their plans during the entire reign of Cyrus king of Persia, and even until the reign of Darius king of Persia. In the beginning of the reign of Ahasuerus, they wrote an accusation against the inhabitants of Judah and Jerusalem. And in the days of Artaxerxes, Bishlam, Mithridath, Tabeel, and the rest of their colleagues wrote to Artaxerxes king of Persia. The letter was written in Aramaic and translated. Rehum the commander and Shimshai the scribe wrote a letter against Jerusalem to Artaxerxes the king as follows. Rehum the commander, Shimshai the scribe, and the rest of their colleagues, the judges, the governors, the officials, the Persians, the Erechites, the Babylonians, the Arameans, the Elamites, the Mesopotamians, the people of Dihar and the people of Immer, and the rest of the nations, whom the great and noble Osnappar deported and settled in the city of Samaria and elsewhere, in the region beyond the Euphrates River. This is a copy of the letter that they sent to King Artaxerxes, your servants, the people of the region beyond the Euphrates River. And now let it be known to the king that if this city is rebuilt and its walls are finished, they will not pay tribute, tax, or toll, and eventually the royal revenues will suffer. Now because we eat the salt of the palace, and it is not right for us to witness the king's dishonor, therefore we have sent and informed the king, so that a search may be made in the records of your predecessors. You will find in the records of your predecessors that this city is a rebellious city, and injurious to kings and provinces, and sedition have been raised in it from of old. That is why this city was destroyed. We therefore inform the king that if this city is rebuilt and its walls are finished, as before, you will have no revenues from the region beyond the Euphrates. We now issue a decree to prevent anyone from doing so. Let this decree be made official and enforced. Do not allow anyone to violate it, otherwise damage will result to the royal revenues. For the damage would be irreversible. The king sent a reply that read as follows. To Rehum the commander, Shimshai the scribe, and the rest of their colleagues who live in Samaria and elsewhere in the region beyond the Euphrates River. Greetings, the letter you sent to us has been read in my presence and read before my counselors and officials. I have issued an order and a search has been made, and it has been found that this city has indeed revolted in past times, and that it has been rebellious and harmful to kings and provinces, and sedition have been raised in it from of old. It has also been reported to us that this city is being rebuilt and that its walls are being finished. Therefore, if you do this, you will have no revenues from the region beyond the Euphrates. I have now issued an order. You must stop those men from working on this city. Let this work not be done until a further order is issued. So now issue an order to stop those men. Let this city not be rebuilt until I so order. Be careful not to neglect this matter. Why should damage increase to the detriment of the kings? As soon as the copy of the letter of King Artaxerxes was read before Rehum and Shimshai the scribe and their colleagues, they went up in haste to Jerusalem to the Jews, and stopped them by force of arms. Thus the work on the house of God in Jerusalem ceased. It was stopped until the 2nd year of the reign of Darius king of Persia. Ezra chapter 5, verses 1-17. Now the prophets Haggai and Zechariah son of Iddo prophesied to the Jews in Judah and Jerusalem. In the name of the God of Israel, they prophesied to them. Then Zerubbabel son of Shealtiel and Jeshua son of Jozadak set to work to rebuild the house of God in Jerusalem. The prophets of God were with them, supporting them. At that time Tatnai governor of the region beyond the Euphrates, Shethar-boznai, and their colleagues came to them and asked, "Who gave you authorization to rebuild this temple and to finish this structure?" We also asked them their names, so that we might inform you who the leaders were of this undertaking. But the eye of their God was on the elders of the Jews, and they did not stop them until the report should reach Darius, and then a written reply be returned concerning it. This is a copy of the letter that Tatnai governor of the region beyond the Euphrates, Shethar-boznai, and his colleagues the officials of the region beyond the Euphrates, sent to King Darius. They sent him a report in which it was written as follows, To King Darius, cordial greetings. Let it be known to the king that we went to the province of Judah, to the temple of the great God. It is being built with large stones, and timber is laid in the walls. This work is being done with diligence and is prospering in their hands. Then we question the elders and ask them for a report as follows. Who gave you authorization to rebuild this temple and to finish this structure? We also ask them their names, so that we might inform you who the leaders were of this undertaking. This is their reply. We are the servants of the God of heaven and earth, and we are rebuilding the temple that was built many years ago. One that a great king of Israel built and finished. But because our ancestors angered the God of heaven, he handed them over to King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, who destroyed this temple and deported the people to Babylon. However, in the first year of King Cyrus of Babylon, King Cyrus issued a decree to rebuild this temple. The gold and silver vessels of the temple of God that Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the temple in Jerusalem and brought to the temple of Babylon, King Cyrus took from the temple of Babylon and handed over to Sheshbazzar, whom he had appointed governor. He said to him, "Take these vessels, go and deposit them in the temple in Jerusalem, and let the house of God be rebuilt on its original site." Then Sheshbazzar went and laid the foundations of the house of God in Jerusalem, and from that time until now the construction has been going on, but it has not yet been completed. Now if it pleases the king, let a search be conducted in the royal archives in Babylon to see if there is any decree by king authorizing the rebuilding of this temple. Then let the king send us his decision in this matter. Ezra chapter 6, verses 1 to 22. Then King Darius issued an order, and a search was conducted in the archives stored in the treasury at Babylon. A scroll was found in the fortress of Ecbatana in the province of Media, and it contained the following written record. In the first year of King Cyrus issued a decree concerning the house of God at Jerusalem. Let the house be rebuilt as a place where sacrifices are offered, and let its foundations be firmly laid. Its height will be 90 feet, its width 90 feet, with 3 layers of stones and 1 layer of timber. Let the cost be paid from the royal treasury. Also let the gold and silver vessels of the house of God, which Nebuchadnezzar took from the temple in Jerusalem and brought to Babylon, be returned and brought back to the temple in Jerusalem, to their proper places in the house of God. Now you, Tatnai, governor of the region beyond the Euphrates, Shethar-Boznai, and your colleagues who reside in the region beyond the Euphrates, stay away from there. Let the work on this temple of God alone proceed. Do not disturb the workers of this temple of God. Moreover, I hereby decree what you are to do for these elders of the Jews in the rebuilding of this temple of God. Let the cost be paid at the royal expense from taxes on the region beyond the Euphrates, so that the work will not be stopped. And as for what you need for young bulls, rams, and lambs for burnt offerings to the God of heaven, and also wheat, salt, wine, and oil, as requested by the priests of Jerusalem, let them be given daily without fail, so that they can offer sacrifices pleasing to the God of heaven and pray for the well-being of the king and his sons. I also hereby decree that anyone who alters this edict is to have a timber pulled from his house and be impaled on it, and his house is to be made into a latrine for this reason. May the God who caused his name to dwell there overthrow any king or people who dares to alter this or to destroy this temple in Jerusalem. I, Darius, have issued this decree. Let it be carried out with all diligence. Then Tatnai, governor of the region beyond the Euphrates, Shethar-Boznai, and their colleagues carried out the order of King Darius with all diligence. So the Jewish elders continued to make progress, because of the prophetic message of Haggai the prophet and Zechariah son of Iddo. They finished building according to the command of the God of Israel and the decrees of Cyrus, Darius, and Artaxerxes king of Persia. The temple was finished on the 3rd day of the month Adar, in the 6th year of the reign of King Darius. The people of Israel, the priests, the Levites, and the rest of the exiles, celebrated the dedication of this temple of God with joy. They offered for the dedication of this temple of God 100 bulls, 200 rams, and 400 lambs, along with 12 male goats as a sin offering for all Israel, according to the number of the tribes of Israel. They also appointed the priests by their divisions, and the Levites by their divisions for the service of God at Jerusalem, as is prescribed in the book of Moses. The exiles celebrated the Passover on the 14th day of the 1st month. The priests and the Levites had purified themselves together, and they had all purified the people, the priests and the Levites. Then the exiles kept the Passover. The Israelites who had returned from exile ate it, along with all who had separated themselves from the impurities of the nations of the land to seek the Lord God of Israel. They observed the Feast of Unleavened Bread for 7 days with joy, because the Lord had given them joy by changing the attitude of the king of Assyria, so that he assisted them in the work on the house of God, the God of Israel. Ezra chapter 7, verses 1 to 28. Now after this, during the reign of Artaxerxes king of Persia, Ezra son of Sariah, son of Azariah, son of Hilkiah, son of Shallum, son of Zadok, son of Ahitub, son of Amariah, son of Azariah, son of Merioth, son of Zerahiah, son of Uzi, son of Buki, son of Abishua, son of Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron the chief priest. This Ezra went up from Babylon, and he was a scribe skilled in the law of Moses, which the Lord God of Israel had given. The king granted him everything he requested, for the hand of the Lord his God was on him. Some of the Israelites, including priests, Levites, singers, gatekeepers, and temple servants, went up to Jerusalem in the 7th year of King Artaxerxes. He arrived in Jerusalem in the 5th month, in the 7th year of the king. On the 1st day of the 1st month, he had begun his journey from Babylon, and on the 1st day of the 5th month he arrived at Jerusalem, for the good hand of his God was on him. For Ezra had set his heart to study the law of the Lord and to practice it, and to teach his statutes and regulations in Israel. This is a copy of the letter King Artaxerxes gave to Ezra the priest and scribe, a man expert in matters of the law of the Lord as issued by the king. Artaxerxes, king of kings, to Ezra the priest, a scribe of the law of the God of heaven. Peace, and so now, I have issued a decree that any of the Israelites in my kingdom, including their priests and Levites, who volunteer to go to Jerusalem with you, may go. You are sent by the king and his 7 counselors to carry out all the law of your God which you are carrying from Babylon. Moreover, you are to take with you the silver and gold that the king and his counselors have freely given to the God of Israel, whose dwelling is in Jerusalem, along with all the silver and gold that you can find in the whole province of Babylon, together with the freewill offerings of the people and the priests for the house of their God in Jerusalem. With this money, then, you are to buy bulls, rams, lambs, along with their grain offerings and drink offerings, and you are to sacrifice them on the altar of the house of your God in Jerusalem. You may do whatever seems good to you with the rest of the silver and gold, according to the will of your God. Also deliver the vessels given you for the service of the temple of your God to the God of Jerusalem. Whatever else is required for the temple of your God, you may provide from the royal treasury. I, Artaxerxes the king, issue a decree to all the treasurers in the province of beyond the river. Whatever Ezra the priest, a scribe of the law of the God of heaven, requires of you, let it be done with all diligence, up to 100 talents of silver, 100 cors of wheat, 100 baths of wine, 100 baths of oil, and salt without limit. Whatever is commanded by the God of heaven, let it be done with diligence for the house of the God of heaven, so that wrath may not come upon the realm of the king and his sons. We also notify you that any priest or Levite, or musician, gatekeeper, temple servant, or other worker in the temple of God who wishes to go to Jerusalem with you is free to go. You, Ezra, according to the wisdom of your God which you possess, appoint judges and magistrates for all the people who are in the province beyond the river, for all who know the laws of your God, and you may teach anyone who does not know them. Whoever does not obey the law of your God and the law of the king, let judgment be executed upon him with all diligence, whether it be death, or exile, or confiscation of his goods, or imprisonment. Praise be to the Lord, the God of our ancestors, who has put it in the king's heart to glorify the house of the Lord in Jerusalem, and who has shown favor before the king and his advisers and all the king's powerful officials. So I was encouraged, because the hand of the Lord my God was on me, and I gathered the leaders of Israel to go up with me.